Last week, some information was brought to my attention regarding some possible discrepancies in accounting and financial procedures. Just so that we could have all the information, I asked the Auditor General if he could perform an audit to get back to us and let us know whether those concerns are valid or not. And I am informed that this board has to at least approve or not object to us moving forward on that audit.
He just has to advise you, pretty much pursuant to the code. And if you have an objection, then that could be voiced. Otherwise, the audit could go forward. Thank you.
What specifically, Mr. Manager, is the area that you have a concern with or have had flags that there is a concern with?
Since it's a subject of the audit, and usually those are not public record until the audit is completed, we rather not say it in public.
But see, this is where I'm having a problem with. Something like this, I at least felt that there should have been the courtesy from the administration for you to come to us and give us further explanation. I don't like to shoot from the hip just because we have a wild notion. I like to have more basis to it. In fact, I'm almost surprised that Msea, the Miami Sports and Exhibition Authority, still exists. I was a former chairman 7 years, but those were years that the Miami Sports and Exhibition really had a mission, really had money to deal with. We had the old Miami Arena before it was turned on. We had the Miami Heat. We had the Panthers as clients. It's not the case anymore. I don't know where Msea gets any money outside of the contracts at Watson Island that were created so that we could try to get around the Carroya Amendment that was passed, the original one, that was passed by voters many years ago. So what I'd like to have, Mr. Manager, is a wider discussion into this item. And I'm not going to object to any audit that you see fit. I'd just like for you to inform me, not in a public meeting, it's no problem, to inform me, what are your concerns so I could have better knowledge of what's going on. So what I'd like to respectfully suggest is that we study, first of all, how much money is coming to the Miami Sports and Exhibition Authority every year. I don't think anybody up here really knows. I don't even think the mayor knows. Secondly, how is it being spent? I can't imagine that it could be a lot of money, but if that amount of money is basically going into salaries for an organization that really served its time, I don't know if we need it, and if the sole purpose might be to take payments from a couple of those contracts, small contracts in Watson Island. So I would respectfully suggest that maybe we could just merge that and give those functions to the Bayfront Park Trust that's got a bigger staff, and it just would seem more sensible instead of spending more money and more people. And whatever staff might be in Msea, we would try to, bring them on the Bayfront Park Trust as we can. But this is another example of another board, another organization that I don't really think we need anymore, and we're throwing good money out the door.
Sure. Mr. Commissioner, thank you for your comments. Clearly, we'll take those into account as they are not unreasonable suggestions. I will tell you that on the advice of our city attorney, I don't really want to delve into the audit going on because I don't want to prejudice
I've
any
already
outcome.
stated that.
So,
We don't need to go into it publicly. I just want privately
yes, sir.
to get a better idea of
Yes, sir.
what's going on.
Absolutely.
Chair,
Mr. Mayor.
thank you. Commissioner, I fully agree with everything that you said, everything. And I was a member of Msea. I left. We restructured the board. We actually did contemplate it at one point, abolishing it. And I'm very happy that I was not a member for a period of time. I am now the chair. As mayor, I'm the de facto chair. We have not had a meeting. And I think part of, without delving into the substance, part of the issue is precisely what you're talking about. In other words, doing a reanalysis before chairing another meeting of Msea as to things such as whether it is a going concern and whether it makes sense to continue as an organization. I will tell you that part of the reason why I did not come see you specifically is because there are other commissioners that are on the board, and therefore it would be a sunshine law violation. I could not meet with them, and so I felt it would be unfair for me to meet with commissioners that are not on the board and not meet with commissioners that are on the board.
I respect that.
So I just wanted to clarify that because
I respect that. That's
So-
not the manager's case, but
that's correct. So I think he can have a meeting.
I can, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
But I would like the conversation with you,
Yes,
one-on-one that I just brought up here, because we have
yes.
to
It is a conversation that needs to happen.
look at the ways to run government more effectively.
Understood, and I agree 100%. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
You recognize Mr.
as a founder of Msea, before I was an elected official, you were right. We brought in the stadium for the Heat. We brought in the Marlins. We did a lot of good job. Unfortunately, I left in 2000.
Not the Marlins. What we were responsible for mainly back in those days were he.
Well, not the stadium itself, but the
Yeah.
baseball into Miami.
Yeah.
And I would have to tell you, I left in 2001, as you did. Came back in 2010. And one of the problems that we had in Msea, a lot of the funding that used to become from the bond issues, it no longer comes to Msea, it comes to other things. But I can tell you, we had a lot of dealing with problems that began years ago. You're aware of the suit that we had. We've been in court with the Shock Airlines. We finally came out with some agreement, and we're working on trying to get something done. We do have some funding coming in from the two places that we have rented out, and I think we were trying to do and rectify a lot of things that were wrong. I mean, this is a suit that been, I think, even before we were elected, it's been there. And we finally got an agreement with them. We're trying to construct some of the airport that we needed to do for so long, and the heliport.
Do you know off the top of your head, Commissioner, and I won't hold you to an exact figure, how much money is coming to Msea from that contract and maybe another one, if there is, in Watson Island?
My understanding, you have the numbers?
Yeah. The current amount of lease payments, according to the proposed budget that was adopted before I became the chair, was $72,000 for Chalks. And
year? A year?
Correct. That's the yearly budget. And $80,000 for Watson Island. Obviously, there's rollover.
There's more.
I'm sorry?
This additional income is supposed to come in according to the contracts.
The
But
80,000
the audit, I
from-
think the audits would be very important. I think
Yeah.
we all can
Yeah.
agree to have the audits,
Sure.
because I want the people to know what's going on.
Certainly. The 80,000 that you mentioned from Watson Island, what is that for?
The heliport.
Oh, the heliport.
Right. So it's
Chalks and
72,000
heliport.
from the seaplane and 80,000 from the heliport.
All right.
Do we know if there's any more off the top of your head, monies coming in?
I don't see any in the budget other than the rollover, which is
Yeah.
already existing money.
Well, this doesn't make sense, that we're going to keep an organization and pay more salaries with 152,000 coming in. And that's why I suggested what I did.
I'm with
Only
you.
for the purpose of the two contracts that we have, that someone that's a government entity has to.
I don't want to say you're getting ahead of me, but we're thinking on a parallel track. And so I'll sit with you and we'll go from there.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so those items are complete. There were a number of non-agenda pocket items that were placed onto the record. We had some discussion and also some resolutions. So what I'd like to first do is recognize the district